Yesterday when we spoke, the police were sort of deciding whether they're treating this as a terrorist attack, but we now have established that they are, and they have a suspect, and we know a fair bit about him.
We are starting to learn a little bit more about the man that is in custody. Police confirming that the man that's been arrested is a 29-year-old British national, originally from Sudan. He's been named locally as Saleh Kater. There are bits and pieces of information about the man suspected over this incident which are appearing in the British media, none of which has been confirmed by police, so we should be cautious with it. But there are some suggestions, particularly from some members of a mosque that we think this man attended in Birmingham, suggestions that he was saying he was in London to deal in some way with his British citizenship papers, or perhaps to deal with a visa for some sort of return to Sudan. Certainly some paperwork here in the British capital is what he clearly described to people in his hometown about why he was heading to London. There are reports in the British media as well, based on Facebook profiles and discussions with people who live in the Midlands, where we think Saleh Kater is from, suggesting that he had been in education recently but had perhaps dropped out of at least one course that he'd been studying, that he'd been a shopkeeper for a time as well, perhaps had faced some family bereavement issues recently too. So bits and pieces beginning to emerge in terms of a picture of the suspect that is being held by police. As I say, police not confirming a huge amount at the moment, but what they are saying is that the 29-year-old that is in custody is still being held on suspicion of terrorist offences, but was also arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
Yeah, but interestingly, Olly, it seems this man was under the radar all along, was not known to MI5 counterintelligence or any of the structures that should have perhaps had some kind of interest in him.
That's a very live question indeed. It is thought that Saleh Kater was known to police locally where he had been living. That doesn't mean, as you say, that he was on the radar of intelligence agencies or counter-terror investigations, and there will certainly be questions about whether any of those links should have been made, as there always are in cases like these. There is also the question being raised in the British media about a van that appeared to be following his car around Parliament Square in a distinct manner, and that has led to speculation in the British media that perhaps the driver of this vehicle got spooked by that and perhaps sped up whatever plans he may have had or not had in place. As I say, that remains speculation, and there is still the possibility that there is no terrorist motive in this incident at all. Police are still saying that they want to establish the motive here, and as of yesterday, the police were saying that the man that was in custody was not cooperating with them. So clearly difficult for them to put together a clear picture of exactly what happened and why it happened. But this 29-year-old suspect remains in custody. Clearly police trying to glean as much information from him as possible, but also from searches that they've been carrying out in the cities of Birmingham and Nottingham. They'll be trying to work out who this suspect has been speaking to, has been hanging out with recently, has been potentially talking to online, to try and work out exactly what it was that happened in Westminster on Tuesday.
So the message then from government and Theresa May is remain vigilant, but carry on as usual. Is that even possible? Has a police presence and security presence been stepped up in any noticeable way?
Yes, the police presence has been stepped up in a noticeable way, and that is partly simply to reassure the public about their safety, particularly here in the British capital. It hasn't been stepped up in such a way that it is intruding in any way, really, on the way that people are going about their lives here in London. London is already a very heavily secured city. You do see at times an armed police presence, particularly outside landmarks like the Houses of Parliament that were involved involved in the incident on Tuesday. Police have said that Londoners will see more police on the streets over the coming days as a result of what happened, but they are stressing that's not because there is any intelligence about any further threat posed linked to what happened in Westminster on Tuesday. No intelligence to suggest that this was part of a wider plot or that there may be anything coming down the line with regard to a threat in London related to this specific incident. But certainly people are trying to take Theresa May's advice and carry on as normal. That is what Londoners tend to do after incidents like this.